Good morning. My name is Alicia Price, and I'm happy to be your service leader today. I've been a member of this fellowship for more than 20 years and have served on various committees through the years. Most recently, though, I've been a mentor for Jóvenes Adelantes. My student has just graduated and is now an architect in business with 3 of his friends. Oh, he's very happy. I'm happy today to welcome everyone, both here at the Aldea and on Zoom, to our Sunday service of the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of San Miguel de Allende, Mexico. In addition to those sitting here, we are joined by members and friends Zooming from other parts of Mexico, the US, and Canada, perhaps beyond. We're especially happy to welcome back our guest minister today, Reverend Louise Green, who is originally from El Paso, Texas, but now lives in Washington, D.C. with her husband and 6 animals. She doesn't say what kind of animals. She's very happy to return to San Miguel, and this is the first of 4 services she will lead here. So she'll spend some time with us. Her topic for today is Earth Songs. We are nature, and human beings are destroying the natural, independent web of life. Our systems have crossed a threshold to our species, adversely impacting our one Earth home. All contributions toward restoration do matter, and we also need transformation of global consciousness in order to thrive. At a time of intense human longing for healing of our planet, music can move us to new ways of being whole. As you look around, please know that we are only part of the community today. The rest of us are joining on Zoom. After the service, those on Zoom are invited to stay connected and visit with others in the main room for discussion. Those who are with us at the Aldea are invited to join us for coffee and cookies. Now I have just one index card today. It's from Mary Lou and Edith. Can you stand? They're from Delray Beach, Florida.
One more.
One more?
My sister.
Your sister. Would you like to introduce her?
This is my sister, Cathy, from Southern California.
And we have many visitors on Zoom, probably about 40 or so. Please type your name. For those on Zoom, please type your name and where you are from in the chat box so we can greet you later.
And say if we have any other visitors here, please stand.
Oh, right. Do we have any other visitors here that haven't signed a card?
No. The card is relevant.
And what?
I'm Lauren Stone. I'm Liz's daughter, and I think she's moved to San Miguel.
And do we have any other visitors? Would you all stand? Anybody who's visiting, so we can see who you are?
And we'll greet you.
Okay. Take a look and invite them to coffee hour and greet them personally.
We have 2 important announcements today. The first one, you are invited to attend the Foundation information session by Zoom this afternoon at 2 o'clock in our time. At this session, the proposed UUFSMA Social Justice Foundation will be discussed by members of the Foundation planning team and the UUFSMA planning board of directors. Join us on Zoom at 2 p.m. to learn the details about this important initiative and get answers to all your questions. Check your email box for the Zoom link, which has been sent to everyone. In addition to today's Foundation Zoom, there will be 2 more soon, next Sunday, August 6th, and Monday morning, August 7th. There will be an important meeting for all fellowship members on Sunday, August 13th, right after the service. The meeting will be both in person here at the Aldea and on Zoom. At that time, we'll vote to establish the proposed new Social Justice Foundation, as well as the budget for the 4th quarter of this year. We do record our Sunday services. Just go to our website, UUFSMA.org. Click on Services at the top, and then click on Previous Services. And while you're on the website, please check out the various events sponsored by the fellowship, as well as information on how to become a member here. And now, Reverend Louise Green with our opening words.
Hello. It's great to be back in San Miguel. I was here in January, so it's an unexpected treat to be back in the same year. And I'll be here the next few weeks, helping to lead the services, also doing some congregational care visits, and some open-ended conversations about expanding bilingual, bicultural offerings of the fellowship. So if you have any ideas on that regard, let me know. I look forward to talking to you. Let me just clear up something before rumors get started. I have no husband. My spouse, Regina, will be here in a few weeks, so I don't want her to get confused. It's been a few years, so yeah. All right, so our call to worship this morning is by Betsy Damon. We are drops, flowing as one river, rising as mist, floating as clouds, sparkling as dew. Remember, water is a human right, water is an earth right, water is the right to life. And water is the single enlivening element on which we all depend. And so today we light our chalice in the power of community as one earth with a common yearning for the harmony of life. We light this flame in honor of the interdependent web in which we are woven. And may waters that restore flow into this place today, that we might worship in spirit and in truth. Blessed be. I invite you to rise as you're willing and able to join our voices in our opening hymn, 347, Gather the Spirit. The lyrics will appear on the screen, and remember to remain standing for the covenant afterwards. Thank you, and again, welcome and bienvenidos.
now I invite you to all join together in reciting this fellowship's unique covenant, first in English and then in Spanish with the assistance of Diana Amaya. We respect the interdependent web of life and work for a just and peaceful world. We encourage the search for truth and meaning, strive for compassion in our relationships, and seek values that will benefit our lives and the lives of others. This is our covenant.
Respetamos todos los estilos de vida dentro de su red interdependiente y trabajamos por un mundo justo y pacífico. Alentamos la búsqueda de la verdad y la comprensión total. Nos esforzamos por mantener compasión en nuestras relaciones y buscamos valores que beneficien nuestras vidas y las vidas de los demás. Este es nuestro convenio.
Join me now as we move into a very special time in our service, a time when members and friends share with the community significant joys, sorrows, and concerns that they are experiencing. For each joy or concern, we light a candle indicating that thought, that person is held by everyone here today. If you have a joy, sorrow, or concern you would like shared in a future service, please email it to our fellowship's regular minister, the Reverend Tom Rosiello. If you're on Zoom, please write any joy or concern into the chat box so that we can share it that way. We light our first candle, one of support for all those who are dealing with a difficult diagnosis or challenges of aging. Our next candle is for the continuing recovery of Liz Stone, who is here today. And the continuing recovery of Joan Wolfe, Donna Schuberks, Judy Rosenthal, and Susan McDonald. We have a candle of joy for having Louise Green as our guest minister for the next 4 weeks. And we have another candle of joy from Carla for Jerome's 11th birthday yesterday. We have another candle of concern for those who are struggling with difficult relationships, and a candle of concern for all those who are experiencing depression or other mental illness. We have another candle of concern for Robert Quirk. He has fallen and had hip surgery. He also just got an infection and is dealing with the treatment for that and complications.
Cathy, I just got an email or text that he's in the hospital. He has internal bleeding, so it's getting worse every day.
Okay, sorry to hear that. Thank you. And we have a candle of joy from Kim and Phyllis, who were one of the 20 people who went on our third UU day trip excursion on Friday. The trip was to Mineral de Pozos, and it was a wonderful day, a lovely UU outing. And now I'm going to check if we have any in chat. From Mary Sondgeroth, joy and concern, prayers for Zoe's father, Robert Aguayo, who is struggling financially and medically. Okay. And as we've done for way too many weeks, we light our blue and yellow candle today in solidarity and caring for all those suffering from the effects of the war in Ukraine, civilians and soldiers alike from all countries. And our last candle is to honor all those joys and sorrows held deep in our hearts, but unspoken today.
Thank you, Jerry, for that beautiful meditation. The reading this morning is by J. Drew Lanham. He is an ornithologist and a MacArthur Fellow. The name of the book, Dawn Songs, is in your order of service. But this piece comes from a piece he wrote. He also co-edited the volume, and the piece is called Identity. And it got me thinking about my own identity with Earth and the way we define who we are as humans in this world. Imagine yourselves as a bird. Take on feathers and wings. Give up your coarse croaking. Let your words become songs and calls. Imagine yourself poised on the edges of a great migration outward into a world of storms. Stretched out before you is a yawning gulf of difficulty, and you are feeling the migratory restlessness. You are eager, though unknowing, what the journey across that gulf of challenge will hold. And you look beyond yourself and see before you a dark night, but there are others flown ahead to guide you. Author, abolitionist, activist, poet, professor, preacher, teacher, they have winged on ahead of us in the ink-black sky to show us the way. And there are millions flocking in common destination and course to do better, to be better, now and going forward. Fly on, fly on, fly on through the long dark night and perch at dawn. Rest as the sun rises, forage, do it all over again, and trust that there will be witnesses to your going and becoming. That's J. Drew Lanham, who said he came to love birds growing up as a young black boy in the city, wondering who he might become. In the Anthropocene era, which is the name for this time dominated by human impact and damage, most of our species understands that we are in multiple crises, and there is an inner and an outer search to come home. To be home is a fundamental desire, and we must often travel far in uncertainty before we can land and nest. That migratory restlessness is strong in anxiety and longing these days. Where to go and how to be. There is an earth song sounding, is the premise of this book. Sounding and inviting us into a co-creation with nature. And every day, they suggest, we might focus on our shared ability for creativity and action. One lens is through our common heritage of water. And we heard some opening words by Betsy Damon from Water Talks. Water is an earth right. Water is the right to life. Water is the single enlivening element on which we all depend. I know Betsy. She is a force of nature in her 80s now. And for decades, she has been creating these community workshops and visual art projects and performance art projects. She lived in Manhattan for years and did performance art way back in the 60s around ecological crisis. She gathers multiple groups in a region to listen to each other, to create art, and to work collectively. And Betsy designs for a kind of complexity and resilience. She says that single-purpose design can be short-sighted, the feeling that there's one problem and one solution, that it can have unintended consequences. So she looks for something beyond this narrative of one need, which can be dangerously partial, and it fails to see this complex web of which we are a part. In the Washington, D.C. area, we're in this wonderful web of water, the Potomac and the Anacostia Rivers and Rock Creek, all flowing into the huge Chesapeake Bay and then on to the Atlantic. And I live about 10 minutes from Rock Creek and go there often for restoration. Imagine for a moment the waters here in San Miguel, in the high desert biosphere. You might see yourself up at the spring in the Charco del Ingenio, up in the hills. You might be down at the Presa Allende, looking at birds. Or recall the waters of the region where you are today, for all of you on Zoom. In what biosphere, in what land, in what place is your web of water? The ancient residents of all land and sea convergence were both rooted and migratory indigenous people. We know that the more recent settlers were operating within the damage of a single purpose design, a narrative that exists to this day. They might have called it manifest destiny, or colonial entitlement, missionary zeal, extractive capitalism, the enslavement of peoples as commodities. And those are still radiating damage, yet today we have these dissolving forms and new ways of being emerging. We all reside precisely where the waters flow, and yet we forget again and again our connection to our earth identity. The cost of that amnesia has been so high, and we know that the memory of the connective web has never left some indigenous peoples. They know that they are in an independent oneness, and they have a primary identity, which binds us all. They would say we are part of Earth, and we must be rooted in the wisdom of this planet to thrive. And so a complex and deep partnership with multiple narratives considers Earth as mother and home, and the embodied awareness of this must anchor somehow in ourselves, in what roots and moves us in all elements of harmony and flow into a kind of co-creation with nature. I think there is a particular earth longing for each generation. There's a fluidity, of course, but there are some characteristics for all of us alive today. Those older who have been through some past challenges, and some younger who look towards the future with a particular urgency and despair. There's a book called Fight, How Gen Z is Channeling Their Fear and Passion to Save America, that's by John Della Volpe. And the title tells you something about what some of the 70 million children, youth, young adults that are ages 11 to 25, that's Gen Z in the United States, are thinking. Generation Z is very clear that their own future is at risk. And Della Volpe says, they are the most diverse, the most educated generation in American history. This generation is unique in that they don't have a collective memory of America coming together or America united. That's one thing that stands this generation apart from all generations since the greatest generation, Della Volpe writes. And then the second thing is also true, I'd say, of global youth and young adults. Della Volpe goes on. They've had this ongoing period of disquiet in their lives. This is a generation that's dealt with more trauma more quickly than any generation in 70 years. And all of this trauma happened before the oldest member of this generation turned 25, which is when neuroscience tells us that our brains are more fully formed. We know that trauma is neurologically activating in the body and that the brain stores memories that bring about autonomic response. And so to work with ongoing trauma requires a rooting in all the elements. So metaphorically, to bring water, to bring earth, to engage with air and groundlessness and too much fire. There are these fire and air energies of youth that are great gifts to those of us who are older. They wake us out of some complacent slumber, and they demand action and attention. I think that is a good thing. Children and youth and young adults often bring this fluidity of identities, this creative kaleidoscope of knowing. They are a merger of extreme electronic ease their entire life, humor, body awareness, play, cynicism. They have this wisdom that can come from navigating great change constantly with all the stress that entails for the young. Now, those in their middle years have accumulated both a kind of mastery and grief, becoming more practiced at some key skill sets, and still in this wear and tear of repeated challenge and loss. Particularly through these COVID challenge years, in this time of such sharp, toxic divisiveness and the loss of shared reality even, there is a quickening of what we must digest that is wearing us all down, all humans who now live in the damage of the Anthropocene. So the middle years wisdom is developing flexibility and the ability to improvise with constant change. Albert Einstein is a physicist, but also a kind of cosmic mystic, and he once said, "If I had an hour to solve a problem and my life depended on the solution, I would spend the first 55 minutes determining the proper question to ask. For once I know the proper question, I could solve the problem in less than 5 minutes." So my central identity question has become, whose am I? Whose am I? I say that I belong to source and spirit and nature first, and that I have agreed to serve in an identity as a kind of earth elder. While I fully lament and I grieve all that is dissolving, I still remain dedicated to collaborative design, the kind that allows humans and communities to thrive in co-creation with nature. Now, I would say that earth elders work to keep the first thing first, to re-anchor in earth home when we forget, when we experience traumas that are old and new, and to know that healthy humans cannot really live in one element, either literally or figuratively. We experience this in our wise bodies over time. Those who are longing for more harmony know that too much air needs the grounding of earth, and too much fire needs the restorative energy of water. I have found this wisdom comes from the age and the hard knocks and the experience of elders. On this endangered planet, we will only work for what we love. And what we love is known in relationships. So I would ask, whose are you? What is your own earth song? And where exactly are the humans, the creatures, the waters that have connected deeply with your own being? How does your expression of that central earth identity move you towards collaborative creation which is the only way we can go forward to design a different future. Earth is calling you to your kindred, to all our relations, calling you to that interdependent web which holds us, which is the beginning of your weekly covenant, and calling us to the love in which we all reside. I pray that you come home to that love. Blessed be.
We know that our financial contributions to this congregation come from sacrifice and hard work. We're very grateful for this and commit together to ensure that the funds we gather collectively do a greater good for ourselves and the world in which than they could have done alone. May there be an offering to sustain and grow the life mission of this congregation, and may we give in love and in hope.
Gather your energy, and let's join our voices together in song. We're going to sing a hymn that we've only sang once before, Turn the World Around by Harry Belafonte. We can do it. We're going to listen to the first 60 seconds of it on this video. The video will restart, and then we'll all start singing together. As I told you last time, inhale quickly after each line or you're done. So I invite you to rise in body or spirit, listen to the first minute, and then we will join in.
We come from the fire, living in the fire. Go back to the fire, turn the world around. We come from the water, living in the water. Go back to the water, turn the world around. We come from the mountain, living on the mountain. Go back to the mountain, turn the world around. Oh, so is life. Ah, so is life. Whoa, so is life. Ah. We come from the fire, living in the fire. Go back to the fire, turn the world around. We come from the water, living in the water. Go back to the water, turn the world around. We come from the mountain, living on the mountain. Go back to the mountain, turn the world around. Oh, so is life. Ah, so is life. Oh, so is life. Ah, so is life. Do you know who I am? Do I know who you are? See we one another clearly. Do we know who we are? Do you know who I am? See we one clearly. Do you know who we are? See we one another clearly. See we one another clearly. Do you know who we are? Oh, so is life. Ah, so is life. Oh, so is life. Ah, so is life. Water make the river, river wash the mountain. Fire make the sunlight turn the world around. Heart is of the river, body is the mountain. Spirit is the sunlight, turn the world around. We are of the Spirit, truly of the Spirit. Only can the Spirit turn the world around. Oh, so is life. Ah, so is life. Oh, so is life. Ah, so is life. Oh, so is life. Ah, so is life. Whoa, so is life. Ah, so is life.
Okay, got that? Life goes fast, and it has a calypso beat. So as you ponder your own Earth song, I invite you to consider your love relationships with people, with places, with waters, with trees, with a certain spot that brings you into co-creation with nature, and to tend that with love, because Spirit does need us to turn the world around. May it be so as we go forward in this place with a spring in our steps. Go forth and enjoy Sunday.